everyone, welcome. So you love the life sciences, but maybe you're starting to feel like the well-worn path isn't for you. If that sounds familiar, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to chart a course through the absolutely massive and super exciting world of biotech careers.
Let's just start with a feeling that I bet is pretty familiar to a lot of you. It's that moment you realize the pre-med track, which felt like the only option, just isn't your future. And that can feel pretty confusing, right? It leaves you asking that big question, what now?
Well, here's the good news. This is a super common crossroads, and the world of science is so much bigger than just one career path. Seriously, the opportunities out there are way wider and more diverse than you probably imagine.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at science careers beyond medicine. Then, we'll actually map out the entire biotech industry so you can see how it works. After that, we'll dive into some of the most in-demand roles right now, before looking ahead to biotech's next big thing. And finally, we'll talk about how you can future-proof your career in this field. Let's do it.
First up, let's broaden our perspective a bit. Let's look beyond the hospital or the clinic. If you've got a life science degree, where can you actually take it?
So most of the non-clinical jobs fall under two huge umbrellas: industry and consulting. Now, consulting is really interesting. It's all about advising different companies, which usually means a lot of travel and thinking about business strategy. But for today, we're going to focus on the massive world of opportunities inside the industry sector. This is where the actual science, the innovation, really happens.
All right, let's map this industry out, because to really get a handle on the jobs, you first have to understand the journey of a drug. From a simple idea in a lab all the way to a medicine that's helping a patient. This whole process is the key to finding where you fit in.
Now, what's so cool about this slide is that it's not just a process diagram. It's basically a career map. And look, it's a long one. Bringing a single drug to market can take over a decade and cost billions of dollars. That's exactly why there are so many specialized jobs at every single step. The earlier you are in the pipeline, the more you're doing hands-on science. The later stages, that's all about business, data, and getting these amazing innovations to the people who need them.
Okay, so where are the jobs right now? Let's zoom in on a couple of key roles that are really in demand and see what kind of money they bring in. And remember, we're just looking at two, but there are jobs all along that pipeline we just saw, from medical affairs to biotech sales. So if you're someone who loves being in the lab, who loves that feeling of discovery, this is for you. Pharmaceutical scientists are right at the very beginning of that pipeline, working to discover and create the molecules that could become the next big breakthrough drug.
And this really shows you the kind of potential there is right at the start of the process. In a major biotech hub like California, you're typically looking at a range between $96,000 and $120,000 a year. So yeah, it's a very strong career choice.
All right, let's move a little further down that pipeline. Here we have the Clinical Research Associate, or CRA. This job is absolutely critical for managing clinical trials. As a CRA, you're basically the bridge between the drug company and the doctors who are running the studies. You make sure everything is running the way it's supposed to.
This is a fantastic option if you like the healthcare environment and you enjoy talking to doctors, but you want to be on the industry side of things. And as you can see, it's another six-figure role right out of the gate.
So why is there so much demand for these kinds of roles? Well, it's because the entire biotech industry is in the middle of a massive, explosive growth phase. The market is projected to more than quadruple in size by the end of this decade alone.
And here's the crucial point. This isn't just slow and steady growth. A 29% compound annual growth rate is absolutely staggering. What that means is we're looking at an aggressive, sustained expansion that is creating a huge number of new jobs every single year.
But look, the industry isn't just getting bigger. It's fundamentally changing. The next wave of opportunity is being driven by a powerful digital revolution. Let's take a look at where this whole thing is headed. We are seeing a major pivot right now. So while those traditional lab jobs, the ones at the bench, are getting more competitive and kind of saturated, there is a massive unmet need for people who can work with biological data. The industry is transforming from just biotech into tech bio. It's where biology meets big data and artificial intelligence. And this whole digital trend is the engine that's fueling the most cutting-edge research happening today. Think about it. From CRISPR gene editing to personalized medicine, almost all of these revolutionary fields rely heavily on AI, machine learning, and bioinformatics to make sense of incredibly complex data and just speed up discovery. So with this huge shift happening, how do you prepare?
How do you build a career that's not just going to survive, but actually thrive over the next decade? Well, it all comes down to developing the right set of skills. The most valuable, the most sought-after professionals are going to be the ones who can speak both languages, the language of the biology lab and the language of data. This Swiss Army knife professional who has both wet lab and dry lab skills, they can bridge that gap, and that makes them incredibly powerful. And this digital wave, it creates ripples everywhere. As AI helps design more and more drugs, we're going to need way more clinical research folks to test them. As we invent new therapies, we'll need regulatory experts to guide them through the system, and bioprocess engineers to figure out how to make them at a massive scale.
So, if you take one thing away from this, let it be this clear, undeniable trend. The future of biotech is computational. It just is. Whether you're in the lab, working in regulatory, or in manufacturing, having an understanding of data is going to be your superpower.
So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. The opportunities are incredible, and they stretch all the way from the lab bench to the laptop. The industry is growing, it's innovating, and it needs a new generation of talent with these hybrid skills to build its future. The only question left is, what part will you play? Thanks.